Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. I don't even know where to begin today. The book of Jude is a tiny little book written up and around 75, 80 AD, so Christianity's been going on for well over 50 years since the death of our Savior. And now they're beginning to see what I call second generation problems. The fires of revival are no longer there. The determination to serve God is no longer there, and now we begin to face challenges. The little book of Jude talks about men who secretly slip in among you in verse 4 of chapter 1. People who secretly slip in among you, and they exchange the grace of God for a license for immorality. My goodness, how many people are doing that today? It's nothing new. They take grace and they teach the doctrines of grace as if it doesn't matter how you live. They use grace rather than as an enabling to live a holy life. Instead, they become, it's all about a license to do whatever you want, and God's grace is sufficient. A license for immorality. But he walks through this entire chapter here, and he talks about how to recognize these people who rush for profit. Everything they do, they want money for. Talks about shepherds who feed only themselves. They don't feed the sheep. They're not caring for the sheep. They're like Ezekiel prophesies about. He talks about how these people always, offer you things, but then they have nothing. There's no substance there. They're clouds without rain. They're autumn trees without fruit. You go there expecting to receive something, but it's all talk. There's no reality. But maybe one of the greatest things he brings up about them is that they are wandering stars in verse 17. They're a star. They're like what they call a rogue comet, like this one that's just been going through the universe and just missing the sun recently. I like to read science stuff, so my science is coming out here a little bit. They're a rogue star. They're a rogue planet. They're not attached to any sun that brings a gravity force and brings continuity and stability to their lives. They're wandering stars. They're rogue stars without any gravitational orbit. In other words, they have no place of home. They have no consistency. They have no stability. Now, he goes through all of the things that these people are doing and all of their challenges and how they boast about themselves and they flatter others to their own advantage. And you see all of this and you go, Lord, my goodness, with all of these false teachers and false prophets and all of this, how in the world can we stand? But he closes Jude with this statement, verse 24. To him who is able to keep you from falling and to present you before his glorious presence without fault and with real joy, without fault and with real joy, presented into God's presence. Now to him who is able to keep you from falling. Sometimes when I look around and I see all the big name preachers falling, it's like in the early 80s, as God just says it's time to clean house. It's time to get rid of these wandering stars. It's time to get rid of these boastful flatterers. It's time to get rid of these people changing the grace of God into a license for sin. He said, it's time to clean house. When you begin to see all these people fall, you look around and you go, Lord, how can I stand? How can I stand? We stand because he is able to keep you from falling. Sometimes you and I have to realize we don't stay standing spiritually because of our own strength. We've got some big hands of God that kind of wrap themselves around us. And when we stumble a little bit, those big hands are wrapped around us and we catch onto one of those hands and he holds us back up. Don't trust in your own spiritual strength in these days that we're living in, brothers and sisters. Don't trust in your discernment. Don't trust in all that you think you are. Trust that God is able to keep you from falling.